Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going fantastic. Thanks so much for joining me. Well, I have a fun project to share with you in 5 easy steps. Today we're using the super adorable Simon Says stamp. I love you a bunch stamp set. It's a 4x6 stamp set that has some cute critters. Some of them are holding tulips. I'm loving this one, so we're going to be using this on our card today. Let's jump in and get started with our step number 1, which is creating our focal point. And our focal point is going to be this cute little critter here. We're going to stamp and do some quick coloring. I'm going to use my Copic markers to color in my image. And I'm going to bring in some white cardstock. We're just going to use an acrylic block today. I'm going to go ahead and stamp this in the bottom corner. Wonderful. Now I'm going to, while I'm stamping, I'm also going to stamp my greeting too. Let's stamp, I'm going to switch inks and use my Nocturne ink and stamp I love you a bunch. I'm going to stamp it up here. And we'll give that a little bit of time to dry. In the meantime, I will zoom in. I will play a little bit of music. I'm going to do some coloring. And I have quite a bit of markers for just one image. For the leaves of my tulips, I'm going to be using these 3 markers. Let's flip them around so you guys can see them. Okay, and then for my little critter, I'm going to be using these. And then for my flower, I thought I'd use these 3 colors. That's all there is to this little guy. I'm going to go ahead and trim and fussy cut my greeting, and I'm also going to fussy cut this, and I'm pretty sure Simon Says Hemp does have a coordinating die set for this, and I'll link it below as always, but fussy cutting just takes no time at all. And that is my focal point, and we do have part of our greeting. We're not going to jump ahead though. We're going to move on to step number 2, which is creating our home panel. So let's set this to the side. And my home panel today is going to be something super fun. I'm bringing in some white cardstock, and I'm using a 1-inch punch. I've had this for years. I actually use this when I create my swatches for my blending tools. Let me show you. The rings that I have on here are actually a 1-inch punch, and then I use a 1/2-inch punch and punch out a middle piece, and then I slice it, and then I have my little swatches for my blending tools. So this is one of my craft room staples. But all I'm going to do is punch out a bunch of 1-inch circles. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do a few, and then I'm going to do some more off of camera. And then I'm bringing in 2 of my Simon Says Stamp inks. I have Ocean and Cabbage. I think Cabbage is my favorite green this year. I'm going to use my blending brush, and then I'm actually going to bring in my, I have a little craft mat here to make it a little bit easier. Okay, because I'm going to, and then I'm going to add a little ink to one side of my circle. Okay, and then I'm going to switch colors, and I'm going to use my Ocean. I'm going to add a little bit of ink here. And then I'm just going to add a little color on the other side. So we're going to have white, green, and blue. And all of them are going to be a little bit different depending if you overlap them or not. Okay, so I'm going to continue and make maybe 8 more, and I'll do that and I'll be right back. So I guess I did a little bit more than 8 more, but I want to make sure I had enough. Okay, now I have something unique for my home panel, and I'm using a piece of acetate. I want to create a floating look on my card today. Acetate's a great way to do that. And this acetate in particular, I dropped on the floor and then I stepped on it, and it has scratch marks on it. I just didn't want it to go to waste, so I think this is a good way to use one of the some acetate that's not perfect. Okay, this measures 4.5 inches wide by 3.25 inches tall. We're going to make a landscape style card today. I'm going to bring in some, let's bring in some paper here so maybe you can see better on the paper. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is take each one of my circles, and I'm bringing in my foam squares. And what we're going to do is create a polka dot pattern on this acetate. I like to start in the corner, and I like to go at a diagonal, kind of evenly spacing them. And then on my next row, what I like to do is start in the middle here, and then we will just continue the pattern at a diagonal. I love doing this. I love the look of this. Now I'm popping these up now. Another alternative would be to to glue these directly on the acetate, and I've created a floating look to where I've actually put the foam tape behind it. So I glued the circles directly on my background panel. So either or will work. And I'm going to finish this up, and when I'm done, I'll be right back. Now I'm almost done. I have open spots that I need to fill in. I need to fill in here and here and here. But this is a great way to use the excess that's overhanging. I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to trim away anything that's overhanging on that acetate. And if I have foam tape on there, that's just the bonus. We'll add this. Okay, now we're back to our rectangle. This is where we can take the extra pieces that we cut off, and then we can add them. I love the way this looks. It looks really unique, and it's hiding those scratches on the acetate, and it didn't go to waste. Now we're going to move along to step number 3, which is creating our sentiment. We already did part of our sentiment, but I'm going to, since Mom's Day is around the corner, I thought we could do a Mom's Day card. So I'm bringing in a die set from Simon. This is the Fancy Mom and Shadow die. What I'm going to do is take this, and I'm going to die cut out my mom. Let me grab some cardstock here. I'm going to die cut out the shadow with vellum, and then I'm going to die cut out Mom with some light gray cardstock a couple of times just for a little added dimension, and I'll do that and I'll be right back. Now all we're going to do is layer these together just using my glue. We will tack these down. Okay, now I only did 2 layers, so we have a little bit of dimension, but I can still use my scissors, and I can still cut this right in half. Now you're probably going, what is she doing? You probably say that a lot on my channel, right? But I wanted to kind of stretch my mom, and instead of using the O for my mom, I wanted to use our focal point. So what I'm going to do is add a little glue on that O that we just trimmed in half, and we're going to replace it with this cute little critter. I'm going to open it up just a little bit more here. And you can still see the integrity of Mom, but we just replaced that O, and it kind of stretched it out a little bit. Now I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to add some foam tape behind here, and I'm going to layer this in the center of my home panel. And then I have I Love You a Bunch. I'm going to just layer I Love You a Bunch right underneath it. There we go. Okay, now we're going to move along to step number 4, which is creating our background. Background's going to be really easy today. I'm just bringing in a paper pad. This paper pad is from my favorite things. I picked it up at Simon Says Stamp, and I loved all the hellos in here. It says hello. Actually, I picked the thank you up, and I picked up a hello. But I love the bright colors of these. In fact, I am going to take the teal, and then I'm going to trim this down to a panel that is just slightly bigger than my home panel here. I'm actually going to mark it off with a pencil, and then I'll put this through my paper trimmer. Now I'm going to take this panel, and all I'm going to do is center it on my card base. You do want to make sure that your hello is landscape too. So now we framed it in. And then I'm going to flip this over, and I'm just going to add some dots of glue behind each one of these circles. Now before I add this to my panel, I'm bringing in some twine. I have some Lawn Fawn twine. This is sky blue. And I'm going to add a little texture to my card. And I'm just going to wrap it around one side here. And I'm going to tie a bow towards the top. We're going to take our home panel, and I'm going to layer it right over our background, sandwiching that twine so we know it's not going anywhere. You could actually see through it. Okay, and that's all there is to our background. We're going to move along to step number 5, which means it's time to embellish. I'm just going to go simple, and I'm bringing in some of my Simon Says Stamp Moonshine sequins. Since we have a lot going on, I like to add just a clear sequin to my background. Okay, and then that will finish off my card project for today in 5 easy steps. A fun background, and I love that you can see the hello behind there. And that stamp set's just adorable. It's actually from Simon Says Stamp's brand new You Are My Favorite release. So if you guys are interested in anything you see today, I'll leave links down below. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.